Jan from Native Instruments and Reactor at Superbooth. We're going to check out the new Reactor Blocks update and some new integration with modular stuff. Jan, do you want to talk us through it?
Hey Ben, good to finally meet you in person actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we are showing here is basically presenting Reactor, how it can work as a creative hub in your studio and connecting whatever you have set up in Reactor to the outside world, talking to MIDI devices and also to analog synth with direct voltage control via DC coupled converters, for example expert sleepers, modules or Moto sound cards.
Yeah, so you're using things like the Moto cards or expert sleepers as the sort of port between the software and the hardware.
Exactly. So we now in Blocks, Blocks were introduced from Reactor 6, obviously, new modular framework, which really translates the modular workflow flow into Reactor really well and sounds amazing. And but we're all modular users as well, so we really wanted to provide the means to integrate it better. And we now have pitch calibration built into Reactor Blocks. You can see it here on the screen. It's a little block that you, if I show you in the structure, that you can connect directly to your outputs, which you can see here. These are going straight to the expert sleepers converters. They are sitting in this box. This is just a fancy box that you can see here. It's basically just an ES3 here connected, so don't be distracted by the fancy box. It's just the off-the-shelf modules from OS. So and this is fed from a little sequence setup in Blocks. It's basically just two LFOs reset by a clock divider and going into the quantizer for fun little sequences. And maybe I just show you the calibration, how it works. So essentially the audio is obviously going back into Reactor, connected into the same block, so it can listen to what the VCO does and how it responds to the voltage. I just hit run. You can already hear the low frequencies being measured. It goes through the whole range now.
So, with this pitch tracking, we're hearing any unstable oscillators, any instability, different calibration between different oscillators. That's really going to pull a system together.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's really measuring through the whole range. It's not just measuring a few points and interpolating, so it's taking a lot of measurements. So we got math in cycling mode tracking like 4 or 5 octaves perfectly. And with a digital VCO like this one, the Morphing Terrarium, I get like 8 octaves, basically the whole MIDI note range. And when I first checked the initial prototype, basically I just tested it with a tuner connected, not listening to it, and the needle didn't move a bit. So I thought the prototype was broken, which was not the case. It was just perfect tracking. And I can show you if you have the sequence running. So this is just a subtractive voice setup here. On the modular, just to show stuff. And if I now add the same sequence going to an internal oscillator, this DWG Bugler 259 Inspire dual oscillator with wavefolding, going into this low-pass gate emulation, which sounds fabulous, by the way. You've got to check it out if you're into West Coast synthesis. If I add this, you'll hear yeah, they track perfectly along each other, and so this goes across the whole range of 8 octaves. You can have internal and external stuff perfectly aligned, which is a lot of fun.
So that's really facilitating the modular subtractive voice, the internal West Coast voice. They're perfectly calibrated with each other. And for people will recognize my channel obviously for the modular, and that's what my YouTube page is about. But I'm using software a lot as well, and I think that not just the integration of control, but the audio as well. I'm still using soft synths, and I want to use soft synths.
Totally.
They've both got their advantages. So having those track perfectly and stacking them up in unison is a big advantage. You mentioned things like running LFOs into quantizers and clock dividers.
Yep.
That's something that obviously speaks directly to a modular user. Are you using those to create beats and sending through silent wave? How are you using those within Blocks?
Yeah, so I mean, that's the beauty of it for me personally also, that you're switching between software and hardware still, but it's using the same paradigm, so you don't leave this realm of thinking in modular terms. It's the same kind of patching paradigms, the techniques. It goes all hand in hand, and you can modulate blocks from your modular if you have something like the ES6 from Expert Sleepers, And it's really a fluent workflow. And maybe I show you. I mean, there's other fun stuff you can add, like because Reactor talks to MIDI and OSC very well. We have on this iPad we have Lemo set up very basic application actually, just an XY pad sending OSC data to Reactor, and basically in Reactor you're just controlling two invisible knobs with the OSC data. It gives you a continuous signal, and you can send this directly out to the expert sleepers, and I can show you what it sounds like. So it's controlling the wavetail position on the morphing terrarium. And I mean, this is literally a minute of setup if you have your iPad already going with the wireless. So it's really handy to integrate all this stuff.
Yeah, like you say on screen, it looks really simple for just tie two bits together and it's into the modular.
Absolutely. And maybe one little thing I can point out, because we just have checked out Pitch and Gate. We also have this new block, also coming out in May, by the way. All the new blocks are coming out in May as a 1.2 update. And this is a gates and trigger conditioner that works really well just in blocks as well, because you can put in arbitrary signals and set the thresholds when gates will be generated, or triggers with adjustable trigger length. And this is beautiful also to send out to expert sleepers modules for triggering stuff, pinging filters. It's excellent for pinging filters because you have the adjustable trigger length. So any length you want to have for pinging filter can be adjusted. So if I quickly show that maybe. So this is basically going into the search filter here on the modular. So it's patched up with a little bit feedback from the wave multipliers for this nice pitchy timbre sweep, and also going into the wave multiplier section. And I mean, if I turn this down, I get super mean bass sounds, obviously. So I mean, these kind of sounds. You can easily integrate them now as well. And it's all mixed in Reactor, by the way. So we are feeding the signals back into Reactor, mixing it here, and adding effects like reverb and delay. And latency compensation in Reactor standalone is really straightforward because it reports the round-trip latency perfectly. So you can really trust this and just put in a simple delay in the path of the internal stuff and delay it a bit, so it's all sample accurately aligned.
Brilliant. So it seems for people getting into modular that are already, most of us are comfy with a computer, it allows, like you've got here, a simple box to really integrate both audio in and out, CV in and out. The new update seems great to really tie all that together.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun trying this stuff and also documenting it, obviously, because I'm writing the documentation at NI. And yeah, as a modular user myself, I really appreciate what's going on, and it's just a lot of fun putting all this stuff together and creating big patches that totally go in and out of the computer and modular and MIDI and OSC, and yeah, well, it's a lot of fun.
That's how we met online, modular.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, well, great. Thanks for the rundown.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks.